I watched my sister dump a concentrated chemical solution into the Christmas cookies, and I didn't realize until the first guest stopped breathing. It was $5,000 worth of catering destroyed and a family legacy burned to the ground in a single afternoon. My name is Sarah, and every year my family hosts the Grand Holiday Bake-Off. It sounds wholesome, but in my house, it's a blood sport. My older sister, Melanie, has won for 6 years straight. She's the golden child, the Martha Stewart of our suburb, and she guards her reputation with a terrifying intensity. This year was different. I am a professional pastry chef, and I decided to finally enter with my grandmother's secret almond lace cookie recipe. I knew I had the upper hand, but I underestimated how far Melanie would go to keep her crown. The tension started in early December. Melanie kept dropping by my apartment to check on my progress, but I caught her snooping through my pantry twice. She kept making comments about how it would be such a shame if someone had an allergic reaction to my cookies. I thought she was just being her usual passive-aggressive self. I had no idea she was actually planning a physical assault on my career and our guests. On the morning of the party, I arrived at my parents' house with 3 huge trays of my signature cookies. I placed them in the pantry and went to help my mom with the decorations. I saw Melanie slip into the kitchen. She looked frantic, her eyes darting around. When she came out, she was wiping her hands on a damp cloth, a smirk playing on her lips that sent a chill down my spine. I should have checked the cookies then. I should have known that for Melanie, Christmas wasn't about family. It was about dominance. She had spent hours preparing for this moment, not by baking, but by sabotaging. The air in the house felt thick with a tension no one else could see. My parents were laughing, the fire was roaring, and the tree was sparkling, but in the kitchen, a chemical trap had been set. The party started at 5 p.m. The house was filled with the smell of pine, expensive perfume, and the simmering resentment of 30 relatives. I went to the pantry to bring out my cookies, and that's when I noticed it. A faint, medicinal smell. It wasn't the sweet aroma of almond and butter. It smelled like industrial cleaning supplies. I looked closer at the top tray. There was a slight, glistening sheen on the edges of the cookies that hadn't been there when I boxed them. My heart started racing. I'm a chef. I know my chemistry. I took a tiny, microscopic crumb and touched it to my tongue. Within seconds, my mouth went numb. It wasn't just bleach. It was a concentrated numbing agent mixed with a high-dose laxative she must have swiped from her pharmacy job. She didn't want to kill people. She wanted them to get violently ill while eating my food. She wanted the professional chef to be the one who gave the entire family food poisoning on Christmas Eve. I felt a surge of pure, unadulterated rage. I looked through the kitchen window and saw Melanie handing a plate of her cookies to our elderly grandmother, looking like an absolute angel. I realized then that she hadn't just targeted my tray. She had swapped the labels. The cookies on the winner's table were mine, but the labels said Melanie's famous recipe, and the tainted cookies in the pantry were now sitting under my name card. She was setting me up for a public execution of my reputation. I grabbed a sample of the liquid she had left behind in the trash, a small unlabeled dropper bottle, and tucked it into my pocket. I needed proof. I needed to see how deep this went before I blew the whistle. Every step I took across the hardwood floor felt like I was walking through a minefield. I looked at our cousins, our aunts, and our uncles, all laughing and reaching for snacks, and I realized I was the only thing standing between them and a medical emergency. Before I could stop the service, our Uncle Dave, who has a legendary appetite, had already grabbed 3 cookies from the tray labeled with my name. I lunged across the room, screaming, "Stop!" But I was too late. He had already swallowed. Within 10 minutes, the color drained from his face. He started sweating profusely, clutching his stomach and gasping for air. The numbing agent was hitting his throat, making him feel like he was choking. The room turned from festive to frantic in seconds. My mother was screaming for an ambulance. Melanie, the absolute psychopath, stood in the corner with a look of concerned shock on her face. She actually had the nerve to walk over to Uncle Dave and say, "Oh my God, Sarah, what did you put in these? Did you use expired nuts?" That was it. I didn't care about the peace of Christmas anymore. I pulled the dropper bottle out of my pocket and held it up in front of everyone. I told the entire room exactly what I had seen. I explained the Project Evil she had running in the kitchen. Melanie tried to laugh it off, saying I was jealous and making things up to hide my incompetence. But then I pointed to the security camera my dad had installed in the kitchen last month to catch the cookie thief from the previous year. Melanie's face went from pale to ghostly white. She had forgotten the camera. My father, a man who prides himself on his holiday spirit, looked like he was about to explode. The veins in his neck were bulging as he realized his eldest daughter had intentionally poisoned a guest to win a trophy. He walked over to the DVR system in the den while the paramedics were wheeling Uncle Dave out on a stretcher, the festive lights reflecting off the plastic of the oxygen mask. We gathered around the monitor, my parents, my cousins, and a very shaky Melanie. The footage was crystal clear. It showed Melanie entering the pantry, pulling the dropper from her bra, and methodically coating my trays in the solution. It showed her swapping the name cards with a gleeful little dance. It even showed her licking her fingers and then wiping them on my apron. The silence in the room was heavier than the snow outside. My mother, who has spent 20 years defending Melanie as just a bit intense, slapped her across the face. It wasn't a movie slap. It was the sound of a mother realizing she had raised a monster. Melanie started hyperventilating, claiming it was a prank, and that she just wanted to level the playing field, because I went to culinary school and it wasn't fair that I entered the contest. She actually tried to blame me for being too good at baking. My father didn't say a word. He just picked up his phone and called the police. He told her that Uncle Dave could have died if he'd had a slightly weaker heart and that he wouldn't have a criminal in his house, daughter or not. The police arrived just as the dessert course was supposed to be ending. They took the dropper bottle, the remaining cookies, and my sister in handcuffs, right past the Christmas tree and the blinking lights. The relatives were in shock, some crying, some whispering, all staring at the girl they thought was the perfect daughter as she was pushed into the back of a cruiser. It's been 3 weeks since the Cookie Massacre, as my cousins now call it. Uncle Dave spent 2 nights in the hospital, but made a full recovery. He's currently leading the charge to have Melanie sued for personal injury. My parents have officially removed Melanie from the will and told her she is never allowed on their property again. They are heartbroken, but they are firm. The most twisted part? Melanie is still sending me emails from her lawyer's office, claiming that I incited her to do it by being arrogant about my career. She truly believes she is the victim of an unfair setup. I've had to change my phone number and install a security system at my bakery because her few remaining friends have been leaving 1-star reviews claiming my food is toxic. My family Christmas is ruined forever, but honestly, it's the first time in years the air has felt clean. The golden child is facing felony charges for food tampering, and I'm finally realizing that some family recipes aren't worth saving, especially when the main ingredient is pure envy. I'm moving forward, focused on my craft, and knowing that while she tried to take my name, she only ended up destroying her own. So, what do you think? Was my dad right to call the police on his own daughter on Christmas Eve, or should we have kept it in the family? If your sibling tried to hospitalize your relatives just to win a contest, would you ever speak to them again? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you're glad Melanie got caught, and make sure to subscribe for the rest of our holiday drama batch. I'll see you in the next one.